loss of 1.5 billion jobs. This means that from January to June, all of the net job growth based on non-seasonally adjusted figures went to native-born workers. Ron Taylor reporting.
The U.S. Department of Labor stated, quote, wages are up, investments are pouring into our nation, and native-born workers have accounted for all job gains since January. Former California Congressman John Campbell says he's glad the Fed chose not to lower interest rates this week, even though President Trump would like that, because a lower rate might hurt those living off their savings.
And savers are a whole lot of his voters. There are a whole lot of seniors and people who save money and put it back. If he were to get what he wants, a 1 point lowering in interest rates, then basically the income of a whole lot of people who save money will drop by about 25%.
Texas Senator John Cornyn says blame for the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza falls squarely on the backs of Hamas.
They're the ones who still hold hostages. They're the ones who killed innocent Israelis back on October the 7th.
Salem News Channel forecaster Stephen Parr says a quick response by coastal officials this week that Russian earthquake makes sense after the 2004 tsunami.
Since then, coastal areas, island areas all around the world have been doing a much better job of putting in warning systems, of taking tsunamis seriously, and trying to get advance warning to their citizens when there is the risk of a tsunami happening.
More at townhall.com.
Living with everyday pain is like having a voice that always says, no, you can't do that. You can't go there. You can't play your favorite sport. You better sit this one out. It's no way to live. If pain is affecting you, see how Relief Factor can help you get back to living life again on your terms, one where you say yes a whole lot more. Head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 800-4RELIEF. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by a team of doctors and scientists, Relief Factor's unique formula of natural ingredients doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or eliminate it for good. Whether it's your back, neck, your joints, your muscles, Relief Factor can help you, as it has for so many others. Give Relief Factor's 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, a low-cost way for you to sort of take it out for a test drive. Less than $1 a day. Go to ReliefFactor.com, ReliefFactor.com, or call 800-4RELIEF. That's 800-4-RELIEF. See how you could live with less pain, and you can say yes to more of everything you want with Relief Factor.
Republican political strategist Aaron McGuire says it's too soon to tell who will be selected to carry the Republican Party forward when President Trump's second term comes to an end.
I anticipate a big primary because unlike Democrats, Republicans don't anoint anybody to the presidential opportunity to run on the ticket. Republicans won't behave like Democrats and coordinate anybody to be the presidential nominee.
She says some of the biggest contenders could come from within the current administration.
I would not be surprised to see a number of these cabinet officials step forward with the MAGA mantle in their names to change and show what they could do with the next generation. And so I think a big primary is what we will see.
An international crew of 4 launched into orbit just before noon on Friday from Florida on NASA's Crew 11. They're on a 6-month mission to the International Space Station. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. Baseball's commissioner says the friendly confines are again set to host the Midsummer Classic.
Rob Manfred made it official and announced Friday that the 2027 All-Star Game will be held at Wrigley Field. The announcement came Friday during a news conference at home plate with Chicago Cubs chairman Tom Ricketts, Governor J.B. Pritzker, and Mayor Brandon Johnson. Baseball's second oldest ballpark hasn't hosted an All-Star Game since 1990. Wrigley also hosted All-Star Games in 1947 and 1962. Manfred cited the amazing transformation of the ballpark and surrounding streets in the past decade. I'm Geffen Coolbaugh.
Bristol Motor Speedway ready to make history again by hosting the first Major League Baseball game in Tennessee. The stage racetrack in this case has been set for tonight for the biggest crowd ever at a regular season baseball game at the MLB Speedway Classic Bristol Motor Speedway. More from townhall.com.
For nearly 50 years, the DuPage Senior Citizens Council and Kane Senior Council have been dedicated to serving seniors in DuPage and Kane counties. Established in 1975, the DuPage Senior Citizens Council is a volunteer-driven 501c3 non-for-profit organization committed to helping older adults live with dignity. From providing nutritious meals to offering support services, The Kane Senior Council is there every step of the way. With programs designed to enhance independence and quality of life, they're proud to make a difference in the lives of their senior neighbors. To learn more or to volunteer, visit them at 418B Airport Road in Elgin or head to their website at caneseniorcouncil.org. Give them a call at 630-338-0999. That's 630-338-0999. That's the Kane Senior Council, caring for seniors because they deserve to live with dignity and respect. Visit caneseniorcouncil.org or call 630-338-0999 today.
It's time to wake up and get on the rise with all things Chicago sports. And your host, Mike Napolitano.
I'm Italian. I get yelled at all the time. This is normal for me. Are you kidding me?
I love it.
With the Italians, we get really high, we get really emotional, and then we bring it right back down. And I'm just in the right back down part right now.
Dalton Cooper.
I think this is the year. I think this is the year he throws for over 4,000 yards. I think Ben Johnson has an understanding of how to take a quarterback and elevate. We've seen what he's done with Jared Goff. Obviously, Jared Goff had gotten to a Super Bowl, and he was working with Sean McVay, but.
And Brandon Combs.
To tell me that a guy in Barry Bonds, who in 2004 has more hits and intentional walks than swings and misses. For a guy who watches Luis Robert and cheers him on, you're going to tell me Barry Bonds does not belong in the Hall of Fame? You are out of your mind, sir.
On WRMN 1410 AM, the voice of the Valley.
And welcome in, everybody. Good morning. On the rise, WRMN 1410. No, it is none of those names you just heard in that intro. It's Nick Johnston right here hosting on the ones and twos as well. But don't worry, I'm lonely in the studio, but not lonely on this show in general. I got Mike Napolitano on the road. Mike, how you doing?
I am good, Nick. How is everything over there by you?
Holding it down, like I said, it's just me by my lonely, but it's A-okay. We're doing A-okay. Unfortunately, I don't want to give baseball 101 or the full thing, but I can't find the light switch in here. So,
oh no.
So it's okay. So a little dark in the studio, like I said, but we're bright in our takes. We're bright and ready to roll, ready to go today. So, like I said, you're out on the road. Dalton's gone. Brandon's gone. I know, like I said, I don't know. There's excuses, but I know yours. What are you doing this morning? Where are you going?
Yeah, I guess skeleton crew this week, but I figured I wouldn't leave you all by your lonesome, so I'd call in. I'm actually on the road to Bristol, Tennessee, in order to see the Bristol Motor Speedway game between the Atlanta Braves and the Cincinnati Reds. It'll be the first MLB game hosted in Tennessee, and it'll be the first ever in something like a speedway, so kind of unique, almost kind of like the MLB's version of the NHL's Winter Classic,
Yeah. Do you? I don't know how many people are going to be speculated to go out there. I don't know what they set up the whole stands. It looks absolutely gorgeous from the pictures that they were able to share out on MLB on all of their social networks and everything. So looks absolutely fantastic. Do you know what the capacity is going to be looking like out there?
I don't. I haven't seen any numbers, but one thing that I saw that was an interesting stat was the fact that there has been somebody who has purchased a ticket for this game from all 50 United States plus a few territories,
wow.
So even in the Virgin Islands and such. So, everybody's coming in from everywhere to see this one. This is going to be incredible.
That's the beautiful thing. It's a nice big old melting pot. Yeah, you kind of compared it to the NHL's Winter Classic, but this is maybe the substitution for the lack of a Field of Dreams game this year, because I know that they're also working on their field. They're going to be they're restoring everything out there. I think they actually took out the corn, but they're replacing it with the whole field and everything. So hopefully they're back out there for that. But this is absolutely going to be fantastic. What are you most looking forward to out there besides the game itself?
I'm just the atmosphere, of course. Like you said, they sent out a bunch of pictures that I think are going to be more breathtaking when I see it in person. But also there's a fan zone, and there's I didn't even know until last night. I was checking the lineup. There's a bunch of pregame concerts. So I believe one of the artists is Jake Owens. I'm not sure who that is, but Pitbull is performing. I didn't even know that I was getting a free Pitbull concert out of it,
Mr.
So that'll be kind of cool.
Mr. Miami, isn't he? I forgot the area code for that, but
Hold on, Mr. 305.
there you go. There we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be Braves and Reds out there. Braves took the first game of this series in 10. It was a 12-11 final up in Cincinnati. And then again, the Reds yesterday took it 3-2. Now again, 6:15 live on Fox. It's going to be Reds hosting the Braves, so still a Reds home game, but like you said, out in the Motor Bristol Speedway. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic and gorgeous game. But that wasn't all. That was. I'm sorry. Anything else that you want to hit on that on the Speedway game? Anything should we expect come content wise?
Well, we'll see what I can get as far as content. My buddy Trevor Fonstrom will be out there, so I plan on meeting up with him. Maybe get a little content for WRMN, of course. But yeah, you prefaced it really nicely, and that first game between the two teams in this series went to 10 innings, I believe.
Yes.
And so it was like a 12-11 final or something like that. I don't have the scores in front of me.
Nope, you're correct.
Both teams had 8 runs in the 8th, so 8s were wild for these two teams. And then, of course, like you said, they carried it into that matinee game yesterday that they had to play early so that they could get on the road and get down to Tennessee for today. So it should be a good one here tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Again, also all that merch that they just, or actually the jerseys they just dropped were actually looking gorgeous as well. Big on the merch guy. Obviously just picked up the Southside hat, so that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
But besides, obviously the Bristol Motor Speedway, the Motor Classic game, that's going to have it out there today. They had a trade deadline. The White Sox were a little bit active. The Cubs were active, but not getting the names and the big names, the splash names that everyone was looking for. But overall, pretty solid deadline. I was enjoying it from top to bottom. What did you want us to? How did you want us to crack at this first? You want to talk White Sox first? You want to talk Cubs, or just overall? What was the biggest takeaway from the trade deadline for you?
Well, I wish we had Brandon Combs here to talk Cubs, because I'd love to pick his brain to see a Cubs fan perspective on what was going on Thursday. And not much, but I guess us being White Sox fans, we'll start off with the White Sox. And as you know, WRMN, we are partnered with the Chicago White Sox, so you can go ahead and tune into every single White Sox game right here on AM 1410 WRMN. But yeah, the trade deadline for the White Sox was probably about as active as I think everybody thought it was going to be. I know some had higher hopes that maybe a Luis Robert Jr. Actually, the jersey I got on right now as I'm heading to the game. But I think some people were hoping he would get moved just for the trade value. I think I wonder if he's hoping to get moved just because of the fact that the White Sox are not poised to be that playoff team that they were just a couple of years ago. I mean, it has crumbled quickly, and you don't want to waste all of your prime years. But Luis Robert even said word for word, of course the quote was translated from Spanish, but earlier on in the season, reporters had asked him, do you think anybody is set to pick you up at the trade deadline? And his answer was, I don't really think anyone wants me right now. And, when a guy's confidence is shot like that, it's hard to see a team, even if they were thinking about picking him up, take a flyer out on Luis Robert Jr. So I think the moves that the White Sox made were, I guess, the correct ones. I don't know if there is a correct direction right now. I know, a lot of White Sox fans are kind of tired of the, is this going to be another one of those where, you just, same old White Sox. But, you move Adrian Hauser, him, he was,
breaking up a little bit.
A little bit of a return back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, all good.
Okay. Yeah, I know you were high on Adrian Hauser, and I was too. And, I think it comes down to, like, White Sox fans going, when is the flipping going to stop, And they do that with Austin Slater, too. Who was their big get, if you remember, during the offseason. They said that was their number one targeted prospect, and he hit the first home run for this White Sox team, and then all of a sudden he's getting traded.
Yeah. Ultimately, I was actually a fan of the moves that were made, in all honesty. I Did not mind. I kind of knew that the writing was on the wall. Adrian Hauser was most likely going to go. He was having a fantastic year. And for a guy that didn't start the season with this ball club, actually getting sent down from Milwaukee to basically bring up Mizorowski and then making the move out there, he said outright, I want to trade. And so far it's been working out for Milwaukee. We'll see how this, this further transaction works out with Adrian Hauser going to the Rays for Curtis Mead. And then after that, I later found out that it was Duncan Davitt and then Ben Peoples were also going to be added as well to this trade. For what it's worth, Curtis Mead was a top 100 prospect at one point. He's played third. He's played first. He's played a little bit at second as well. Most of the season so far, he's played at first base. So, again, not a complete replacement for, I guess, Andrew Vaughn playing at first base for most of the time. But, again, just kind of taking a stab at a kid who's what? I think he's 24 years old. Yeah, 24 years old. Already has some ball club experience. Not having a crazy season by any means. Only hitting .226 with 3 home runs. But again, just taking a chance at some kid like that. But the big one for me might be Ben Peoples, who he has some pretty good stuff. And at the very least, a guy like Duncan Davitt can kind of eat some innings in the minor leagues, as well as the move that was made for Austin Slater. Again, I guess that was kind of a funny thing saying Austin Slater was the number one go for in the offseason for the White Sox, but that just kind of means that the bar is pretty low for the White Sox in the offseason, for my mind. But in terms of, Austin Slater going for Gage Zeal, same deal with Gage as Duncan Davitt in my mind. At the very least, maybe just eats up some innings in the minor leagues type deal, because I think you can find the offensive production replacement for Austin Slater and some guy that we already have. So I think that can be done. And we'll bring up. We'll probably bring someone up in my mind to replace that. But eventually, Curtis Mead is probably going to be in that lineup to begin with. So I'm fine with that. And then finally, just to wrap it up quickly, I don't mind that Robert stayed. I had no problem with that. Yeah. That might indicate to me that the White Sox are on a little bit on the right trend, on the right side of things, if they're not giving up their top tier guy, their number one superstar. I think that's a very positive sign. Again, last night, the White Sox got their 41st win. What does that mean? Do you know what that means?
That means they're not going to have as bad of a record as they did last year.
Exactly right. They matched their season total of wins last night already with 41 wins. Again, bar is very low. However, again, on the positive side, on the bright side, we're moving in the right direction. That's what should be thought of. Again, in my mind, you took basically nothing, turned it into something, and I think that's the positive mindset to see. I don't think these are going to be grand slam hits on every single one of these names, but again, in my mind, this was the right moves, moving the right guys. Maybe could have moved Talkman, sure. Maybe could have moved Robert if the deal is right, but I think this is the right move to give Luis Robert just one more year to really prove that he's the Cuban Mike Trout that everyone was labeling him as. So this is the good move. I really like this deadline for the White Sox.
I have to agree. Yeah. And, you see it not only just in the trade deadline. You were talking about, a little bit of maybe a resurgence for this White Sox team, or headed in the right direction at the very least. And you see that on the field with how the young guys are playing. I mean, you may have lost 5 of 6 to the Cubs, but if I'm a Cubs fan right now, I'm a little nervous because the White Sox, they had that blowout game that we talked about last week on Friday night with a 12-5 victory. And then, the Sox dropped the second one 6-1, but they come back, and Andrew Benintendi has a multi-home run game, so the Sox only fall short by 1 run in the 9th inning. So if you're a Cubs fan and you're looking at your team going, this should be a playoff team, this should be a powerhouse in the MLB, and we can barely get wins against this White Sox team, if that. Plus, then the White Sox go on to have a really nice series and take the series from a very dominant Philadelphia Phillies team. I was there Monday night. That was when Bryce Harper got the Phillies on the board with a 2-run RBI double, but the White Sox didn't back down. You may see like the big name like Harper, and you go, okay, well, this game's over. But Montgomery stays hot with another home run. That was a 2-run shot. That was the first 2-run shot, or first home run off of lefty Christopher Sanchez. And then Luis Robert Jr. hits one as well. It's an opposite field home run, and the Sox end up taking that game, and then they did fall 6-3 to Philly the next day, but the rain delay on Wednesday boded well for the White Sox with a 7-run, seventh inning. Both Miguel Vargas and Edgar Cuero get 3-run home runs in that inning, and that's only the 5th time since 1906 that the White Sox have had 4 or more home runs by players 25 or younger in a single game. So the young guys have impressed me the most, and I like what you're saying. I think those were some of the right moves. It's hard to tell right now with this White Sox team what the right moves are, but as long as these young guys are still performing and you're not, just flipping all of them, then you have some kind of direction. And building around a Luis Robert Jr. as a superstar, if you could build quickly and keep him in his prime, that should be the way to go.
In 85 at-bats since the All-Star break, Colson Montgomery has 6 home runs. He's also racked up probably some of the most RBIs since the All-Star break as well. So Colson, let these young kids play. In my mind, close enough. Welcome back, Barry Bonds. You mentioned it. White Sox, we were here last week. We were feeling nice and good coming off that Friday night win. Went into Saturday and Sunday. Not the best result for the White Sox. However, they go ahead and get some. Oh my! Go ahead and get some dubs from the White Sox. But also they dropped two out of 3 against the Milwaukee Brewers up in Milwaukee. And besides that, they had a little bit of a good first inning against Jacob Mizorowski, and after that, completely shut out basically afterward. But besides that, I think the big headline for the Cubs is definitely their trade deadline movement, or I guess not lack thereof, but just the lack of prime names and big names. And to be fair, I guess the biggest pitcher, the biggest starter that went was Andrew Heaney. Or maybe Mitch Keller, depending on how you're looking at it. But if you're a Cub fan, again, I was definitely banking on Brandon coming in here for a reaction, for the big old Cub reaction. But chilling at Dogs this weekend, there's a big old nest of Cub fans in there. So I got a lot of reactions from those pals, from those guys. Not too keen on, I was giving them guff. I was like, hey, you guys got that Nationals pitcher you wanted. Michael Soroka, here we go. Michael Soroka headed to the Cubs. Michael Soroka. Let me go ahead and get the list of Cubs names that were made at the deadline. Cubs trade deadline. Again.
I gotcha.
Yeah, you got me. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's of course, you might mention the Michael Soroka trade, and White Sox fans kind of know how that goes. But that was for Ronnie Cruz, shortstop, and left fielder Christian Franklin. The Cubs also traded shortstop Wilfrey De La Cruz to the Baltimore Orioles for Andrew Kittredge, which I think was probably their biggest, arguably one of their biggest name gets. They also traded Ivan Bethrow, he's a right fielder, to the Pittsburgh Pirates for left-handed pitcher Taylor Rogers. And then, as you mentioned, they talked a little bit about sending Ryan Presley down. They designated him for assignment. But then the other big name was from the Minnesota Twins, left fielder Willie Castro. And that was in exchange for right-handed pitcher Sam Armstrong and right-handed pitcher Ryan Gallagher. So there were a number of moves made by this Cubs team, but nothing that I think really moved the needle for Cubs fans. And the problem being is just on Monday, the Cubs organization extended GM Jed Hoyer. There was a quote from Craig Counsell, the Cubs manager. He said, quote, he was just very optimistic about the future and where the Cubs were headed. He sold that really well, and I believed it and thought it was the right decision. I agreed with him completely. He was really passionate about believing that, and I think he was right, end quote. So, I mean, it's kind of funny that, you're extending a guy and you're using past tenses and, the guy's not kind of was, I guess, the mindset. If you are using past tense and a guy is getting extended, are you basically saying you were bought in and now you're not, and now you're not as, read between the lines, you're not as happy that he's extended, especially when he makes the lack of moves at the trade deadline? I don't know. I think I'm reading into it a little too much, but I just, if you're the Cubs right now, are you pleased with Jed Hoyer's decisions on deadline day? I don't think I am.
No, I mean, there's definitely the number of names, the different names that definitely went. You're just looking at them. I'm like, The Cubs couldn't have made a package for this guy. I mean, we talked about Eugenio. Everyone was talking about Eugenio Suarez making his way over to the Cubs. Obviously, he gets traded to Seattle, which, by the way, Seattle's lineup is looking stacked right now. They are looking phenomenal. They had a nice little comeback win last night. Again, the Mariners will maybe dive into a little bit of maybe winners and losers maybe later on down the line of this trade deadline. But yeah, they are looking real mighty fine for this AL, for just the entire AL the rest of the way out. So again, Eugenio Suarez doesn't make his way over. I mean, the Marlins don't deal Sandy Alcantara, who, again, it was up in the air of, do you want him, do you not? But even if you can get half of the production that he used to give out, which was basically giving out complete games of 1 to 2 earned run ball, that was even on the table. He doesn't get moved. Again, probably taking calls, probably taking offers, but just that doesn't fall through. A number of different moves, and again, I just don't think that Michael Soroka, right now being 4-7 with a 4 point, pretty high ERA right now, right around there, just below 5. I don't think that does it, and I think that's kind of copy and paste of what you get out of Michael Soroka and Colin Rea and Michael Boyd or Matthew Boyd, excuse me. These pitchers that the White Sox, that the Cubs currently have, it's really copy and paste. Besides maybe a little bit of difference that you get out of Shota. So definitely, just if you're given pass fail, I don't know if you want to give A, B, C grade, but pass fail, definitely a fail for me on the Cubs side of things, and I don't think that's an overreaction. Obviously, Kittredge goes out last night, has a scoreless inning of ball, and looks pretty good, but other than that, I mean, they describe him as a super utility man in Willie Castro, and I think that's about what you're going to get out of him. He's not going to be an everyday ball player for this club, so it definitely, I guess, head scratching. I don't know what the word, if we're going to play a word association game, I don't know what the word is to describe this Cubs movement. Again, head scratcher with a hyphen for me, maybe just not unserious. It was some of the words I've heard. Just, this was not the moves, the big splash moves that you make if you're really going in for a World Series run. I just don't know. This was tough. This was tough for sure if you're a Cub fan.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. This is not the trade deadline that you see from a playoff contender. And what this tells me is that Jed Hoyer and that organization believed that the way the Cubs started this season was their normal, not their peak, was their normal. And so this little skid that they were having right after the All-Star break, and we might get into a little bit more of Andrew Vaughn hitting a grand slam for the Brewers. I mean, that man has been on fire since the Sox trade, but he's taken it to the Cubs, and so have this Brewers team as they've surpassed them in the standings. I know it's only one game right now, but that trade deadline to me screams like, they're not worried, and I think they kind of should be. I've been asking this question to Brandon for some time now, and it's like, I think the Cubs have very much so a reason to be worried because they were playing at their peak, and now this is their normal, and their normal is just barely good enough to be a wild card team. And I know Dalton was kind of talking about it in our chat on the side that, like, there's a lot of other teams in the NL that made moves at the trade deadline that could end up having a much better second half and steal those wild card spots, and then the Cubs get absolutely nothing when they looked like they were going to be an NL powerhouse.
Absolutely. I mean, the Cubs right now are a game back in what is, I believe, the Brewers might have the best record in the MLB right now at 65 and 44. Yes. Yeah, they do. So best record. They are a game behind, so technically the number one wild card spot for the Cubs at the moment. Looking forward for the Cubs, kind of just a little bit ahead in the month of August. Just kind of, I think they have 2 more morning, 120 starts against the Orioles, who they were a bit of sellers this week. They'll be playing against the Reds at home as well. Following that, another couple of home games there, but that big one right there for sure is going to be the doubleheader. Well, it looks like, is it going to be 5? Yeah, it's going to be 5 games at home. Yeah, is that? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're going to have 5 home games with that doubleheader in there because it's a 4-game stretch, 4-game home stretch for the Cubs there. from the 18th to the
Maybe
21st.
rain out.
That's going to be,
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
It's what we were taught, trained, and told to do.
It could be for anything. Helping a friend move.
Listening to a fellow veteran for hours, at any hour of the day.
Or just simply making time for people. A neighbor, a loved one, or even a stranger.
We're often the first to help others. There's no question about it.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
Perhaps it's time to do for yourself what you would do for others.
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
This is Larry Jones, and I'd like to talk to you about my bank, American Eagle Bank in South Elgin. Has your bank changed names in the last 10 years? Is your bank another faceless branch with headquarters in another city? Are you tired of earning next to nothing on your savings account or certificates of deposit, or does your personal banker treat you like a stranger? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then you're ready for a new banking experience, and American Eagle is the place for you. American Eagle is a locally owned independent bank that's rooted in the community, and American Eagle customers are greeted by name and treated with the respect that they deserve. American Eagle has an innovative program, Eagle Savings, that teaches your children to save while earning prizes and rewards. American Eagle offers great rates on certificates of deposit. My bank is located in South Elgin on Randall Road between the Target and Caputo's and is open Monday through Saturday. Give them a call at 847-742-7400, and a real person will answer the phone. American Eagle Bank, a place where you matter.
Finding a reputable business shouldn't require luck or chance. But how can you tell who you can trust? Pro tip, the BBB connects people with businesses they can trust. So think of the BBB as the better, check with the BBB first, because better businesses are honest and commit to high ethical standards bureau. That's why they're better. Always look for the sign of a better business and find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
Chicago defense attorney Mark Schieblo has co-authored the book titled DUI Jury Trial, which is a true story of a DUI case that he defended. The accused was an Illinois truck driver arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. This book contains facts about the case from the date of the arrest up to the jury's verdict, and this nonfiction novel also includes the transcripts from the jury trial itself. The book DUI Jury Trial is now available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
For nearly 50 years, the DuPage Senior Citizens Council and Kane Senior Council have been dedicated to serving seniors in DuPage and Kane counties. Established in 1975, the DuPage Senior Citizens Council is a volunteer-driven 501c3 non-for-profit organization committed to helping older adults live with dignity. From providing nutritious meals to offering support services, the Kane Senior Council is there every step of the way. With programs designed to enhance independence and quality of life, they're proud to make a difference in the lives of their senior neighbors. To learn more or to volunteer, visit them at 418B Airport Road in Elgin, or head to their website at caneseniorcouncil.org. Give them a call at 630-338-0999. That's 630-338-0999. That's the Kane Senior Council, caring for seniors because they deserve to live with dignity and respect. Visit caneseniorcouncil.org or call 630-338-0999 today.
And welcome back here. WRMN 1410 on the rise. Ready to rock and roll. Got cut off. We were talking a little bit of Cubs trade deadline talk, talking a little bit of preview into their remaining of their schedule. Nick Johnson on the ones and twos and hosting it, holding it down. And by the way, we found the light switch. We figured it out, folks. We figured it out. I didn't really. Our hands were able to help us out there. By the way, there we go. Like I said, had that preview of the Cubs' rest of the schedule. Big thing for sure was the 4-5 game stretch against the Brewers later on in the month of August. But definitely wanted to talk the remainder. Want to talk some winners and losers of the overall trade deadline before we got into the rest of everything. Did you have one off the top of the dome for you as a winner or loser from this big trade deadline? Obviously, Mason Miller and J.P. Spears go to the Padres. A lot of movement there for the Padres. Couple moves by the Yankees. Jose Caballero from the Rays to the Yankees. Shane Bieber even moves from the Guardians to the Toronto Blue Jays. What was some of your big thoughts? Well, like I said, besides maybe the Cubs being a potential loser on paper here, what were your big winners and losers from this trade deadline there, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to stick out west, and I think it's a couple of the teams that you already mentioned. It's either, for me, it's the Mariners, who were already good to begin with and just bolstered their lineup, or it's those Padres that I think everybody is thinking is about to make a sneaky run right here. I mean, the Diamondbacks made some moves as well. Not sure if that's going to do them much good as of right now, because they're currently sitting 4th out of 5 teams in that NL West. But the Dodgers, they're holding it down, but on only a 3-game lead on those Padres. And, I know Dylan Cease, as White Sox fans, we kind of still root for him and hope he has good seasons. And there was maybe some talk that he was going to get moved. He hasn't had the best of years, so maybe he can figure things back out. And with the moves that the Padres have made to increase both their offensive and defensive side of the game, I think, the Padres are a sneaky team. I do like that move to pick up Bieber for the Toronto Blue Jays. You talk about teams that have the best record in the league right now. Toronto, they're sitting right behind Milwaukee, a game that, of course, in the league standings, but they have the lead in the AL East with a 64-47 record, playing .577 baseball. And I don't think anybody predicted this coming from Toronto this year. So I don't know who anybody thought was going to take the East. My money would have been on the Yankees again, but the Yankees are trailing 3.5 games back from that Toronto Blue Jays team, and Toronto doesn't seem to be stopping at any point in time. Those are my winners. As far as losers, I haven't been too dialed into who has really lost the trade deadline other than the Cubs. I think being in a Chicago market, it was glaring at us right in the face. So I haven't really studied up on any other big losers, but losers by the fact that they didn't make the big splashes, the big moves that they needed to really keep their lineup fresh and ready for playoffs. They have a lot of injuries, and you can make all the excuses you want, but when it comes down to it, if you're going for a playoff run, injuries are going to happen, and you have to figure out how to make do with that. And the trade deadline would have been a great opportunity for that Cubs team to make do with that. Also, you have the question lingering over your head about what is going to happen with Kyle Tucker. So the Cubs still have a lot of loose ends right now.
Yeah, definitely do that. Talking losers on for sure. Obviously, like you mentioned, maybe a little biased because we are all the Sox fans on this side of the show. But I would definitely also throw in the hat of the Pittsburgh Pirates. You gave up David Bednar for peanuts, really, and
practically nothing.
And for the Yankees, who. Again, one of those things like how do you just keep feeding the evil empire type deal? I just don't understand. It's just like how do you for one of the better closers or just one of the better relievers just in baseball? Like how do you just not get something back and it's just really something worth of value? So I just thought that was one of the big losers. One of the other maybe big losers might have been. Might be 97.1 the ticket because they got duped. I don't know if you heard about this, but someone put out a little bit of some rage bait, whatever you might call it. But someone put out a reaction to saying that Cedric Mullins wanted to unretire the number 31, and the internet kind of ran wild with it. But like I said, the radio station 97.1 picked up on it, and like I said, they got duped. Let me tell you just quickly. Let me see if you can hear it.
You guys, just a question out of the blue. I just saw this on social media. Cedric Mullins, who the New York Mets just acquired from the Orioles, he wears number 31. 31 has been retired for Mike Piazza. He asked if they would unretire it, and they have obliged. You think he's worth the unretired? Now, is Piazza more of a Dodger or a Met? See, that's the other thing, but it's not that he was.
You know what? He's more of a Dodger.
Well, yeah, I don't know. They kind of just go into a little bit of a discussion after that. But, folks, be careful on the internet, as always. Again, that was from 97.1 The Ticket, the Valentini show with Rico. They got duped. I think later on they went ahead and made sure that they figured out that it might have been a joke. But yeah, the joke that Cedric Mullins wanted to unretire Mike Piazza's 31 after getting traded, I thought that was pretty funny. I thought that was one of the big things from the trade deadline. And of course, the internet, of course, is running wild with it. The fake AI pictures of people, the construction workers taking down the 31 from the stadium, unretiring it. People actually showing up to the game last night with Cedric Mullins 31 jerseys on. That was actually pretty funny too as well. So some good stuff there. Always good stuff there on the internet. But besides the trade deadline, besides some winners and losers, I mean, we obviously maybe can mention, yes, the Yankees were on paper doing pretty well with all the moves that they made, that all the big names they acquired, Jake Bird, Camilo Doval, Jose Caballero, like I had mentioned. All those names went ahead and actually contributed to the loss last night. They were up big against the Marlins and ended up losing 13-12 in walk-off fashion to the Marlins, with all those names giving up on the relief side, giving up a combined 7 runs, and then of course a big error by Jose Caballero out in the outfield to give up that big loss and give up that big lead that they had to the Marlins. So those are kind of the big takeaways there. Let me see if there's anybody else worth mentioning. The Mets getting Ryan Hesley, Tyler Rogers, pretty good. Like I said, Cedric Mullins, not too shabby. The Orioles kind of selling off some pieces. Of course, you mentioned the Mariners, big moves. Padres probably the biggest winners. Quickly, the losers that I'm just pulling up, I'm looking at according to Just Baseball, so just kind of getting a reference from them. They said that the Dodgers were an honorable mention. The Reds the Reds, because they got Ke'Bryan Hayes and Zach Little, which I don't know. I actually like those names. Zach Little can eat up some innings and do pretty well. So the Tigers, because they got, the Tigers, who started off this second half not too hot, acquiring Charlie Morton, who throws like an 85-mile-an-hour fastball. So I can kind of see why that is a little bit on the downside. Not too many other big names with all the slew of names there. The Milwaukee Brewers actually didn't do too well, according to Just Baseball. Of course, the Cubs were on there. And then finally, the Boston Red Sox, only getting Dustin May and Steven Matz. So those are, I guess, the big winners, big losers from the trade deadline. Let us know down below exactly that on all of the social medias and everything, who you thought the big winners and losers were, of course. But, of course, I think the biggest winner of all of us was us, the fans, because we got some football. We got football back, ladies and gentlemen. Hall of Fame game actually commenced this past Thursday over in Canton, Ohio, of course. The Los Angeles Chargers and the Detroit Lions taking on each other once, like I said, over in the Hall of Fame game. A 34-7 final. The Hall of Fame game is the Hall of Fame game, of course. We all know it's not going to be all too competitive. We got to see some young talent. I mean, honestly, Trey Lance looked pretty good on the Chargers side of things, but like I said, you weren't going to see Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown in this game for the Lions side of things. So this isn't a telling thing. Bears fans, don't get excited in the slightest. Again, this was not the team that you're going to see come August, September, October, November. This is solely just the Hall of Fame game. But of course, just that feeling. Football is back. Was there anything? Did you see anything? Did you take away anything from the Hall of Fame game there, Mike?
Well, I did see that Lions fans were happy. Of course, like you said, there's not really going to be any starters in, but they got in and got out with no injuries, so that's always a good thing because, it is a preseason game, but guys will sometimes play it a little bit tougher than any of the other preseason games just because of location and the atmosphere. I mean, you're playing at the Hall of Fame. It was really cool that they got a chance to induct some great names into the Hall of Fame, and I'm sure we'll get to that. But staying on the game side of things, I thought it was very cool that they introduced that new digital first down, or virtual, I should say, checking system. So there's going to be a new review system this year. It doesn't get rid of the chain game, so there's still going to be an actual physical measurement out on the field. But if it's close, they can go to some kind of a replay and double check to make sure that they got the right call. I thought that was neat, and I'm glad they're testing it now so that it's fully functional for the regular season. There's no hiccups.
Yeah, chain gang is not going to be obsolete after this point, obviously. Yeah, again, nothing too much to write home about on the game. A couple of touchdowns from their running back. But again, Trey Lance looked decent. So at the very least, for a guy that was second overall in 2018, something like that. I'll have to double check when he was drafted. Looked pretty good. Looked serviceable as the Chargers backup. Again, maybe just a Harbaugh, just a little bit of a QB guru in that sense. But of course, like you mentioned, the Hall of Fame game only happens because there is a Hall of Fame and enshrinement ceremony. Going into the Hall of Fame this year, of course, Eric Allen, Jared Allen, well, former Bear, had a little time here, of course, but mostly known for his time on Kansas City, a little bit over there on the Vikings, being made there. Obviously, making this big sack move there, of course, and then one of the best tight ends in the game, if not the best tight end in the game, Antonio Gates, who didn't even play college football, played college basketball, is going to go down again in one of the best tight ends of all time. And then joining his brother, Sterling Sharp, into the Hall of Fame as well. So all those well-deserved names into the Hall of Fame. I mean, it wasn't really too much of a soundbite from any one of these names, obviously, but some great stuff right there. Hopefully we can get some more Bears guys in this. This is a really nice class. This is a great class right here.
Yeah, I know last year, the Canton deal was the Canton game was a much bigger deal for Bears fans because it was Steve Mongo McMichael, of course, rest in peace, but Steve Mongo McMichael jumping in there and getting honored. But yeah, it was nice to see another NFC North team in there, even though, of course, it's going to be a rival of the Bears at that point. But, a former Bear in there, and then, of course, the NFC North getting represented because they had representatives in there as well. So, I don't think this is, like you said, a big telling sign that the Lions are going to be worse because of, them not having Ben Johnson calling the offensive plays. I think this is just still a preseason game, but regardless, football is back. One other thing I did want to mention that I think we glossed over, and I apologize that I even forgot about this, is when we were talking Cubs. Rest in peace to Ryan Sandberg, an absolute legend, and one of the best players to ever play, not only in a Cubs uniform but in an MLB uniform. Even as a Sox fan, I know it's kind of a tough way to preface it, but I know a lot of people think of you and me as just Sox fans, but no, I mean there's major respect for what Ryan Sandberg did and who he was as a person and as a player. And cancer sucks, cancer's awful, and it's a real shame that had to happen. Monday night, I believe, is when he passed. So. Our thoughts are out there with the Sandberg family and the whole Cubs family and the baseball world as a whole.
Yeah. My apologies, honestly, for completely just butchering that, completely fumbling on that one. That was my bad. Yeah, Ryan Sandberg passed away at the age of 65 due to cancer. Just like you mentioned it, you said it best. Cancer sucks. Everyone has some sort of entanglement or involvement in that with that disease. Unfortunately, just very, very unfortunate. But of course. You give and take with social media. This was a really nice outpouring again for all the love, seeing all the highlights of Ryan Sandberg going on there. I was listening to all the different radio stations, different people getting calls in, just people being named Ryan, and they're calling in like, well, you know why? I obviously know why I'm named after. Or I believe even our guy Brandon, who that's his favorite player. It's his favorite player from what I was told. So he was very upset. I believe I believe Ryan might be one of his children's middle names. I could be mistaken. Yeah. I don't want to go too much out on there, but like I said, he was very much influenced, and a lot of people were too. So my apologies. Didn't want to come off disrespectful in any sort of way, but yeah, that was definitely a huge hit on the Chicagoland area. And again, it was really again classy to see from just top to bottom and just the MLB across the board, whether it was Cub fans, Sox fans, even Cardinals fans showing love to the guy, showing love for Rhino because, I mean, again, you saw all the different things that he was out there doing. His last game in Chicago, I think his last game was actually Harry Carey's last game calling a game in Chicago. So some really cool ties there. Of course, the Ryan Sandberg game, the two last at bats, tying the game up for the Cubs, going into extras and stuff like. Just absolutely just loving the highlights that they were showing there. So again, just a huge hit. Unfortunate loss for the Cub community and just baseball in general. So again, rest in peace to Ryan Sandberg. That was a huge loss.
Yeah, and we just lost Bobby Jenks.
Yeah.
So both the White Sox and the Cubs taking a hit due to cancer, and it's just so unfortunate. It shouldn't have to happen. It shouldn't be the case. But, really sad. And, not to make light of any subject, but, Nick Castellanos is a player in the MLB that is known for hitting home runs at the most inopportune times. And I'm at the Sox game Monday night as press, and I'm watching the White Sox play the Phillies, and the news flashes across the screen that Rhino has passed away. And who steps up to the plate is Nick Castellanos. And he hits one to the warning track. It was a deep fly ball. But, I mean, I think fans were waiting with bated breath to see, if that one went over the wall, then, oh, my gosh, it's just unbelievable.
There's so many with him. It's absolutely ridiculous with Ryan, with Nick Castellanos going yard and correlating with tragedies. So yeah, absolutely. Again, RIP to the Rhino, to Ryan Sandberg. Absolutely, just horrible loss. I mean, I would think with Bobby Jenks getting a commemorative patch on the White Sox jerseys, I would think Ryan is going to get one, maybe rocking the 23 for the rest of the way out for the Cubs. But maybe just to transition back into Bears, I know that Virginia McCaskey is also going to get a little bit of she's going to get her name, her initials on the jersey for the remainder of the Bears season. So like I said, a little bit of a camp news before we got maybe about five more minutes here before we head on out for the top of the hour break. But different things to tackle here. I mean, it was Luther Burden's coming back from his hamstring injury, really showing up, and people would kind of just drooling over him. And I mean, I don't know if maybe you saw that, or if maybe it was DJ Moore having his comments about Ben Johnson coming in. Actually, some really humongous and some positive comments saying essentially that Ben Johnson is already starting to change the outlook for this ball club and really look good. So was there any other takeaways? Was there anything big highlights or big headlines for you Bears side of things? Of course, the Bears, not this Sunday, not tomorrow, but next Sunday, having their first preseason game against the Miami Dolphins. We can probably catch that over on Fox for the remainder of the preseason. But yeah, Mike, any big takeaways from these headlines? Anything that you want to tackle here for the Bears for a little bit of time?
Yeah, no, I think you mentioned it right there, is that the season is going to be underway. The Luther Burden thing, yes, of course, getting a chance to maybe hopefully see him back out on the field once that season starts. But also, I guess Virginia McCaskey being honored on the jerseys was actually something I wasn't aware of, but thinking about it, that's a given, right? So it's going to be good to see, and I'm just excited for this Bears season to be back. They're going to be starting things off, like we said. Yes, of course, it's preseason, so you're not going to see all the starters out there, and you're not going to see, the very tip top of play from both sides, but against the Dolphins team that, they're bringing Tyreek Hill back, it looks like, and, they got Tua Tagovailoa there, but there's some questions still around who his backup is going to be. So, of course, that's a man that's prone to injury, so we'll see if he stays healthy. But on the Bears side of things, I think they're kind of in a similar boat where, you have Caleb Williams, but this preseason will be a good opportunity to test out any backups. Hopefully that doesn't end up having to be the case during the season, because that would most likely mean that, Caleb goes down with an injury. We don't, of course, want that to happen. So let's hope for a healthy season for this Bears team. And I just want to see, I think we'll get a little bit of taste of what Ben Johnson has to offer when it comes to the offensive side of things in this, even in this preseason. So I'm excited to kind of hone in and focus on that. But just like you said, overall excited to have football back, especially in the Chicagoland area, and let's hope for a good Bears team. I know you and I were kind of giving our rundown last week on what we think is going to be the outcome. I'm banking on like a 9-8 season, and I think that's very doable for this Bears team. They have a couple of pockets of tough games in there, but we'll see. I think anything short of 9-8 is probably going to be a little bit of a disappointment on the side of Bears fans. But I think if they surpass that, then they're playing with the house's money. So let's go. Let's get on the field. Let's get the ball in motion here. Let's get this Bears season underway, and I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, as far as what we're probably going to see come next Sunday, I don't think we're going to get a ton, if any, Caleb Williams snaps. Probably not going to see any of the starters, most likely. That's going to be similar. You're probably not going to see most of the starters, if any of them, probably until the second or the third preseason game. That's probably when you get a full couple of drives out of Caleb Williams in the number one squad. But I actually just pulling it up from Courtney Cronin of ESPN, actually just about 12 minutes ago now. Seen a couple quotes and talking about Luther Burden. You got Ben Johnson, quick little quote here. I was really impressed with that. Just his overall running drills and just being everything right there. Ben continues on to say he's still working on the alignment and the details as you would expect for a young player, but the play speed jumped off the tape to all of us on Wednesday. So, already getting some nice compliments. So clearly Luther Burden, the athlete that the Bears wanted in a second-round pick. Again, congrats to him being the first second-round pick, getting all his guaranteed money. A little cha-ching action, bang, bang. But there you go. There you have it. Again, already from Ben Johnson being fully impressed by our guy, Luther Burden, over in the wide receiver room like that. Like I said, probably going to see Tyson Bagent come next Sunday against the Miami Dolphins. Again, same thing for the Dolphins. Like you mentioned, we'll see who the backup is. They'll be deciding who that is for the Dolphins side of things. Most likely, you're not going to see Tua, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, Tyreek Hill. All those guys are going to be seeing most of the bench on that one. So we'll see how it breaks down for the Bears. Again, preseason is preseason. We saw how it was last year. I think the Bears went undefeated in preseason last year.
Yep.
And again, we kind of saw the rest of the rest. There's no positive or negative correlation really with your preseason record related to your overall the regular season record. If that was the case, the Ravens, who were undefeated for 21 plus straight preseason games, would have had a couple more Super Bowls on their mantle, I'm sure. So there we go. There we have it. So coming up, guys, obviously top of the hour here, creeping up on 9 o'clock here, but we got some Boomers baseball. We got some local baseball. We'll be talking a little bit of minor league and independent ball, of course. Got Boomers, Cougars, Dogs, everything else in between. Got some Fires, some Stars, some Premier League to talk about as well. Maybe get to a little bit of Sky and some some Sky and some Bulls. They were over at the United Center, the Sky were. So we got some, hopefully, pretty sure we got some sound from that as well. So talking about that as well. And then, I don't know. Maybe we got a little bit of time towards the end. Maybe we'll hit some Mamma Mia. We'll hit some anything else in between. So coming up later on, this is On the Rise here on WRMN 1410. Nick Johnson at the helm, Mike Napolitano on the road and on the phone call. We'll be back in just a little bit right here. WRMN 1410.
Are you dreaming of a getaway? Want to leave the stress of daily life behind? Whether it's a relaxing cruise or an adventurous land escape, planning the perfect vacation doesn't have to be a hassle. At Cruises International, they specialize in vacation destinations, land and sea, making your dreams come true. Located at 1721 Moon Lake Boulevard in Hoffman Estates, Cruises International isn't just about booking travel. They're your personal concierge, trusted travel advisor, and advocate. Your preferences are unique, and they'll take the time to understand exactly what you're looking for. From personalized service to their global network of specialists, they ensure that your vacation is tailor-made just for you. It's time to plan the vacation of a lifetime. Call 800-255-7447. That's 800-255-7447 today and speak to a cruise and vacation expert. Cruises International. It's time to set sail to your dream destination.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 9 o'clock.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. A weak jobs report not going over well at the White House.
President Donald Trump on Friday ordered the firing of the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, hours after a government report showed that hiring had slowed down significantly over the past 3 months. The Bureau of Labor Statistics on Friday morning reported that the U.S. economy added just 73,000 jobs in July. It also said it had revised the May and June numbers, and they turned out to be lower than previously announced by more than 200,000 jobs. Donald Trump said the numbers were rigged to make him and Republicans look bad. Bill Alexander, Washington.
And as George Williams report, the U.S. unemployment rate ticked up 0.1% last month.
The Labor Department reports an increase of 0.1% from 4.1 to 4.2%, where it's remained for the past 13 months. The department estimates the number of unemployed in the U.S. at some 7.2 million people. Earlier this week, Fed Chair Jerome Powell assessed the U.S. job market as stable.
The unemployment rate remains low, and the labor market is at or near maximum employment.
The report says the economy added 73,000 jobs, but also revised downward the previous 2 months of payroll statistics by 258,000, negating those previously reported gains. George Williams, Washington.
Senator Tom Cotton says it's ironic Israel faces constant criticism from the Western media over its alleged failures to provide adequate nutrition in Gaza. Ironic, he says, given the fact that the current war was sparked by a brutal attack by the Hamas terrorist group against Israel.
Israel really has no responsibility whatsoever to provide any kind of aid into Gaza. And the fact that they're doing so just proves that they always go the extra mile because they always face unique standards in the world.
Senator Cotton spoke this week with the Salem Radio Network. You'll find more on these stories at townhall.com.
Most people have no idea there's an invisible gap in their home's protection. This invisible threat is house stealing. Con artists pick a house. They transfer the deed of this house into their name by obtaining the forms, using the fake IDs, and filing the paperwork with proper authorities. Now they own the home. Protect your home from this invisible gap. Check on your home's title right now at HomeTitleLock.com. Be sure to use promo code RADIO and they will send you a complete title scan of your home's title. And your first 30 days of triple lock title protection is free. HomeTitleLock.com.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save families up to $500 a month, and obviously that's a big deal, but they like it too, especially being part of something that reflects their values instead of working against them. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. Find out more. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE.
Taking a closer look at a major tragedy, incorrect altitude readings on the Army helicopter that collided with a passenger plane over Washington, D.C. back in January apparently contributed to the aircraft being disoriented about how close it was to that flight. NTSB Chairwoman Jennifer Homedy says there should be no differences when it comes to altitude calculations.
I am concerned. There is a possibility that what the crew saw was very different than what the true altitude was. We did testing in May that shows concerns with the altimeters, the barometric altimeters on the UH-60 Lima. So we are concerned, and it's something we have to continue to investigate.
In addition, air traffic controllers have been warning about the hazards of helicopter traffic presented years before the crash. It's very busy airspace. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. Lisa Dwyer reports on deadly flooding that happened this week along the East Coast.
A 13-year-old boy in Maryland died after getting trapped in a storm drain during heavy rainfall and flooding on the East Coast. A Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company spokesperson says kids were playing in the rain Thursday when floodwaters rushed into the area. Areas in New York and New Jersey saw heavy rain flood sections of the subway and commuter rail routes. The National Weather Service is warning that more storms might bring flash and urban flooding to the northern, mid-Atlantic, and southern New England area through Friday night. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
President Trump's order imposing new tariffs on scores of countries in the European Union starting in 7 days, has injected a new dose of uncertainty into the financial markets. But many analysts say it's also bringing in record new trade revenues to the United States. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-433-3082. 800-433-3082. 800-433-3082. That's 800-433-3082.
Now goes the opposite way into right field. Turbo looking up, and that ball's gone. 3-0 Cougars, just like that. 7th home run of the season for Todd Lott, going the opposite way as Todd Lott crushes it deep left field, and that ball is out of here. Todd Lott goes yard for the second time tonight. Back-to-back jacks. The duo of Chu and Lott have combined for 4 homers, and it's 8-3 Cougars. 2-0 pitch, and Lott puts a charge into this one. Deep center field, going back, and that ball is gone! A 3-homer game for Todd Lott.
And what a day it was for Todd Lott out there against the Chicago Dogs. I guess I'm the representative here for the Chicago Dogs on that side of things. That was courtesy of the Cougars baseball broadcast squad. Again, Todd Lott making some American Association history, hitting 3 home runs in a game in that one. Some inside baseball for me. I was directing that game, didn't even realize that he had done that. Sometimes when you're just doing these games, is exactly that. There's no stats in front of you sometimes, so I didn't know that the kid was having a day out there against the old Dogs on that one. So yeah, Kane County takes it to the Chicago Dogs in that series. I don't even think the Dogs won a game that one. I think they got swept if I'm not mistaken. But definitely, definitely some better days for the Dogs, but some good baseball for the Cougars. What'd you have on the Cougars side of things for us on there, Mike?
As you mentioned, yeah, sometimes you get wrapped up in those games, and it's tough when you don't have the stat sheet in front of you. But Todd Lott didn't need a stat sheet either because he broke it. He got 3 home runs in one game. The Kane County Cougars go on to sweep their rival in the Dogs. Unfortunately, youth, but fortunately for the Cougars, that gave them a 4-game win streak a 3-game win streak as they almost had a 7-game win streak. They had won the first 3 games against the Kansas City Monarchs earlier in the week. They dropped the 4th and final game, but 3 out of 4 from Kansas City, and Todd Lott coming up big in that series as well. You heard the voice of our buddy Connor Klingon on that one, but the voice of Connor Klingon and Colin Rudisil, the 2 broadcasters in the Kane County Cougars booth. I'll give them a little shout out. They're good guys. They got to call what I think is probably one of the coolest baseball moments I've seen in quite a while, which was Todd Lott hitting a walk-off grand slam to give the Cougars the 6-4 win over the Kansas City Monarchs last Saturday night. That was incredible.
Yeah, what a week for the kid right there. Looking at the standings right now, Kane County sitting 3rd right now in the American Association East Division, which by all means they are 35-36, so a game below 500. The East compared to the West, not looking as competitive when you look at it. The West side has 4 teams over 4 with 40 wins already with the Sioux City Explorers. having a 48-25 record, so looking pretty good on the west side of things. But of course, on the east side, LakeCountry.com is currently the leader for the East Division. They're 42-28. Dogs right now, even though they're on a little bit of a skid, a 4-game losing streak after getting swept by the Kane County Cougars, who right now this year, the Kane County Cougars are 7-3 against the Chicago Dogs. So like you mentioned, bit of an in-state rivalry, I suppose, but right now on paper, even with the Kane County Cougars, I guess, struggling for a little bit as, they're coming off of their championship winning season, winning that American Association. This is the Wolf Cup, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the Miles Wolf Cup. Yep.
Yeah. So it's coming off their Wolf Cup championship. A little bit of a championship hangover type deal, but still getting it done against the Chicago Dogs this past week. And then again, like I mentioned last night, the Dogs also dropped one against the, who are they playing up against? Playing the Cleburne Railroaders, who are 2 games below 500 now after getting, like I said, still getting that win last night against the Dogs. Cleburne is 35-37. So still pretty, like I said, getting some wins. They're pretty close by all means, standing wise, but definitely the west side is just head and shoulders above everybody in just this entire American Association. So yeah, Kane County looking pretty good. Any other further notes on Kane County for the remainder of their season? Not too much baseball left in the American Association regular season wise. Just the remaining games in this month of August, and then hopefully a couple of these squads will be getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think if you're in that Kane County and Dogs division in the East there, you're just kind of hoping that when it comes to playoff time, that records don't matter anymore, and you could take on the West once you get to the finals there. But Kane County looking to steal that spot from the Dogs there. I know they had the Dogs number in the playoffs last year as Kane County went undefeated 7-0 in the playoffs, which was an incredible run. But even like you said with the championship hangover, they're still taking it to their interstate rivals right there, their Chicagoland rivalry, and they're definitely catchable. 7.5 games back for the Cougars, 5 games back of the Lake Country Dot-Coms are the Dogs. So second and third place are going to those 2 Chicagoland teams at the moment, and we'll see who can hold on there. But as far as future games go, Kane County resumes their series. They got the win last night against Fargo Moorhead. They resume their series today and tomorrow with the Red Hawks. And then they will be on the road for the entire week. That'll be Monday through Thursday, a 4-game series with the division-leading Lake Country Dot-Coms. So a tough week ahead for the Cougars, but they've done well thus far. We'll see if that keeps up. Then they'll come a little bit closer to home next weekend when they go up to Wisconsin to face the Milwaukee Milkmen. So that'll be at Franklin Field. Staying in the minor league realm, it's funny, I just passed the stadium, Thomas More Stadium, for the Florence Yalls in the Frontier League. So switching over to the Boomers side of things. The Boomers have had a little bit tougher of a week. They did well against the Mississippi Mud Monsters last week at home, but dropped 2 games to them this past week. That was a loss on Tuesday, a 4-3 loss, and then a 14-9 loss on Wednesday. So that was a little tough for this Boomers team, but they are still sitting on top of their division, 43-25, 632 baseball. They're a game and a half up on the Gateway Grizzlies, so still commanding the lead there. They're the second best team in the Frontier League right now. The only team above them is the only team that has ever beaten them in a championship. That is the Quebec Capitales. So we'll see if the Boomers can hang on there. It's funny enough that I just passed Florence because the Boomers will be playing the Florence Yalls this coming week. 6:30 starts on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then a noon start on Thursday. But those games are not down here in Florence, Kentucky. Those are at home at Wintrust Field. So hopefully the Boomers can use that home field advantage. And going into next weekend as well, they'll take on the New York Boulders, who another tough team. They lead the Atlantic Conference East Division with a 38-29 record, playing .567 baseball. So 6:30 p.m. starts Friday and Saturday. Looks like there's fireworks both nights, and then a 1 p.m. start time on Sunday to conclude that series. So good looks for the Boomers coming through in the next week. Let's see if they can pick things up and stay in that top spot, because they've been exciting to watch as well. As much as we rag on our major league teams, the Cubs and the White Sox for either not doing enough at the trade deadline or just, not being too much of a winning baseball team, at least we got some independent ball to cheer on and root for this summer. Otherwise, it would be a pretty stark, desolate baseball landscape here in the Chicagoland area.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I was kind of thinking about that the other day where, we are blessed, obviously, to have the amount of professional teams that we have. Do they live up to the expectations? Not necessarily, no. But if there ever is the case where minor league teams galore across the board, you're not interested in the Blackhawks, well, we got Chicago Wolves out there. If you want to make the time out there as well, you got the Rockford Ice Hogs if you're willing to make that far of a stretch out there. Same deal. Don't like those Cubs, don't like those White Sox. Head on down to, the Dogs, the Cougars, the Thunderbolts. We got a whole slew of independent and minor league baseball to go ahead and enjoy here down in Chicagoland area. Same thing. I guess if you're not into the Stars, we got the Stars. That's our pro team here, but it's all sorts of other things too. Red Stars, everything else in between. So you come and enjoy some minor league ball. By the way, quickly, I know you jump from our American Association to the Frontier. I'm going to jump really quickly back to American Association with the Chicago Dogs. A little interesting, fun note. It was a rain out game. Let me see, about 2 days ago. My apologies on the date of this game. On the 30th. Rained out, and they concluded the game after 7 innings. But for the Dogs, in their bullpen, out came Anthony Ronaldo. So I don't know if you guys remember that name by any means. Had a cup of coffee with the White Sox in 2016. He's just kind of a little bit of a journeyman, even though he was only in the league for about 3 years. Boston, Texas, and the White Sox, but hasn't played again. Like I said, hasn't played pro ball since 2016. Went ahead and got into this Dogs game, recorded 2 outs, gave up 3 hits, gave up 2 earned runs. However, like I mentioned, it's been almost a decade since this guy has played some pro ball, since he recorded an out, went ahead and got a little bit of it done. And like I said, what it's worth, not the best performance in his mind, but still to go out there and have any sort of performance, really, really solid right there. So like I said, the dream can never die. The dream never dies, folks. Go out there and enjoy some baseball. Heck, we just saw Rich Hill go out and play against the Cubs, and then he had like 7 scoreless for the Kansas City Royals the other day. So it's still a young man, still an old man sport type deal. Age is just a number type deal.
That is incredible. I do remember the name, and I did not realize he had been out of professional ball for that long and still pitching like he did. I'll stick in the American Association, as you were saying, for one more quick note. Connor Ash for the Cougars, hometown hero, came out dealing. He went 8, he struck out 9, and that got the Cougars that 4th straight win. So really good for King County right now is Connor Ash. But you were talking about, enjoying minor league ball, and it's not just the play out on the field. Some of the promotional nights that we always try to push here on AM 1410 WRMN. You've got the Boomers having an autism awareness night on Tuesday. That's also $1 hot dog night, but also Wednesday is a very important cause as well. It's Mothers Against Drunk Driving, first responder night, so that is huge. The Thursday will be a business day game with that noon start time, like I said. But then over the weekend, you've got the ever-popular Marshmallow Fight Night and post-game drone show with fireworks. I know there were some hiccups. I was talking to some of our Boomers Connects. There were some hiccups with the drone show during the Star Wars night. So they still got the show on the road. But, if you were missing out on some drone show, you can go ahead and get over there for their Marshmallow Fight Night. I know it ends up kind of being – it's not quite the same, but it ends up kind of being like a second Ghostbusters night for the Boomers because, Marshmallow Fight Night, you got the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, so that should be fun. And the drone show is always really neat to watch as well. Sunday will be their Bark in the Park. They have a couple of these each year, and that's when you can bring your furry 4-legged friend out to the ballpark, so that's always cool. Love to see where the minor leagues do that as well.
Absolutely. Quickly on the dog side of things, they just had their squeeze ornament giveaway yesterday, so unfortunately you might miss out on that one. So if you're really dying for it, I guess maybe hit up the eBay. But today's actually Squeeze's birthday. For those that might not know, Squeeze is a bottle of mustard, and then for those that further might not know, today is National Mustard Day. So kind of coincidence, a little bit of a quinky dink that National Mustard Day, Squeeze's birthday. Man, that's pretty. Man, what a like I said, pretty interesting there. So nice shot. We, like I said, celebrating some Squeeze's birthday, hopefully having some cake and all that fun jazz. And then about 2 weeks from now, Star Wars night over at the Impact Field. So that ought to be fun as well. So always enjoying that. Like I said, as always, Sundays is their family promos, catch on the field and all that fun stuff. It's always a nice time over at Impact Field. So whether, like I said, whether over in the American Association or whether you're over at the Frontier League enjoying some ball games, does not matter. Just go out and enjoy some independent ball. Do you have also some stars and maybe some other soccer Premier League stuff you want to talk about? A little bit of fire. I know you were there over at Soldier Field again, not for a fire game, but for some upgraded their hot soccer game from one pitch to another. Go for it there, Mike.
Yeah. Well, one more note about the baseball front.
Go for it.
I was going to say last weekend I missed the Cougars had their Christmas in July. That was the same night that was that walk-off grand slam from Todd Lott. So Christmas presents came early was the call from Connor Klingon, but they gave away a Jack Skellington bobblehead. Now, you know me being a Haunt fan, I was like, that should have been high on my radar. But we had our annual Schaumburg Hockey League Stanley Cup final. It's a roller hockey game we host over in Schaumburg, and I wanted to give a big shout out to Dennis Sonar Green here at WRMN. Many may know him from some of his other shows. He did an awesome job coming out. Everybody in the production as well. Of course, our co-host Dalton Cooper was awesome in the booth with Grant Leader, longtime listener, and a call in for us every once in a while here. So they did phenomenal for us. A couple of IMF students came out to help work the cameras, but Sonar was able to get the stream going. So the stream of the game, you can watch all the live footage back on WRMN's YouTube under the Lives tab. So huge thank you to Sonar, and we look forward to working with him in the future because we've been trying to stream that game for some time now, and he walked in and it was real simple, real easy, and he got it going for us. So big shout out to him.
For what it's worth, looked pretty good on the stream. I was watching from time to time. Had it set up so that kind of one camera would follow kind of halfway to mid court, kind of where you guys would be, and then the other camera would kind of pick it up on the other end. So, like I said, it looked pretty good on the stream. Not too shabby. On that one. And one more quick thing before you get into the soccer side of things. I wanted to bring this one up. Another giveaway on the Schaumburg Boomer side of things here. August 9th. I am not a fan of the show in any sort of way, but I can appreciate.
Oh yeah.
I can really appreciate when they put effort into this stuff, and it can actually be pretty funny, and the fans probably of the show will enjoy it. So for Friends Night on August 9th, they're going to have the Pivot bobblehead. When, of course, the scene, I guess, I haven't seen the show, but pretty synonymous with the whole thing. Probably maybe the biggest part of the whole show, apparently, the whole pivot when they're moving the couch up the stairs. So the first 1,500 fans are going to get that Pivot bobblehead brought to you by Ascension, Illinois. So that's pretty cool right there. Like I said, I'm just big into collectibles. Not a fan of the show in general, but for those that are, that's going to be a pretty hot ticket item. Same thing. That might be a little E, big B, eBay. Might be a big purchase right there for that one. So pretty cool on that side of things. Like I said, don't want to cut you off anymore. Any soccer updates? What do you got on that side of things there, Mike?
No, I appreciate you. I forgot that was happening, so I'm glad we threw that in there because now I will pivot, to some soccer, and it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't the Fire. They pivoted over to the Premier League. So the Premier League has a summer series that takes place at Soldier Field. Well, it took place this year at Soldier Field. For one day, it's a doubleheader, so you get two matches out of it. First one started at 5:30. That was that same day we had all that rain, but luckily it passed over by the time it was time to get the games in. And, of course, an American pitch, an American field is not the same as an English field, so there were a lot of complaints about that. There were even some complaints coming out of West Ham United from they had a weird water break, and I mean they don't need it. You know, they're professionals. If anything, they're top tier professionals in the world, higher than what we have here, even in the MLS. I mean, we love our MLS here, we love our Fire, but Premier League is just on another level. So it was a real treat to go ahead and watch both of those games happen. The first one was a 2-1 victory for West Ham United over Everton. And then Manchester United came in, and the support that they have nationwide and worldwide is just incredible. You saw all these Manchester United jerseys, but there were a lot of AFC Bournemouth jerseys too. They would fall to Manchester United, though, a 4-1 final right there. I did get a chance to speak to some of the players. There wasn't anybody in particular that I was looking to necessarily interview. I was just kind of taking it all in. But Tyler Adams of Bournemouth is a USA native. He actually played for Team USA for CONCACAF and also in the MLS for a little bit. But congratulations to him. He's getting to play with a Premier League club, and he subbed in, and he had a pretty good game as well.
Absolutely fantastic. Hopefully the sights and sounds around Soldier Field were exactly that, just nice and ruckus. A little bit of rain on that Wednesday night. Was there anything that was troubling there in that sense?
No, not too bad. They still watered down the field beforehand because they want that ball to move, and the natural, Mother Nature kind of did that a little bit already for them. So it was all right. And like you said, yeah, there was a lot of rush. It was a loud environment. It was really cool to see Soldier Field packed. You would have thought it was a Bears game, but it was loud. And I'm sure it was just loud last Saturday when the Chicago Fire took on the New York Red Bulls as well. They got the win in. Hugo Kuipers gets the lone goal of the match, and they 1-0 win for the Fire with a penalty kick in the 44th minute. So another penalty added on to Hugo Kuipers' long career resume, and the Fire get a much-needed win. That's the second in a row, second clean sheet in a row for Chris Brady. So he looks like he's back to his regular form in net for there. And the post-game concert, now I had been there for a post-game concert a couple weeks ago for Danny Lutz, who is I don't even know how to describe. I'm not sure the actual terminology, but it was really good. We got a chance to meet him afterwards. But, of course, this was the same night as that SHL game, so I wasn't at the most recent Fire game. But after that game, this 1-0 victory over the Red Bulls, they had a post-game Chance the Rapper concert. So that was cool to see as well. That was really nice.
That's really awesome. That's pretty cool. I know Chance the Rapper, I don't know if you knew this, but just announced yesterday a little bit of a pop-up a 15-minute set for Lollapalooza wasn't on the lineup in general, but going to be popping up. Palooza wasn't on the lineup in general, but going to be popping up at the Perry stage for about 50. Of course, the EDM